Hi guys! My report is all about prenatal development or eto daw yung pamumuo ng supling. Eto daw yung progreso ng pamumuo ng bilig or fetus sa kapanahunan ng pagdadalang tao mula fertilization hanggang sa pagluluwal ng sangkot. Everything starts the day your mom's egg meets your dad's sperm or eto yung tinatawag natin na conception. In prenatal development, there is three stages. The first one is germinal period or the first 2 weeks of the pregnancy. Germinal period, it includes creation of zygotes, continuous cell division, and the attachment of the zygote to uterine wall. Details development during this period. Within 24 hours to 30 hours after fertilization, the male and the female chromosomes unites. After 36 hours, the fertilized ovum zygotes divide into two cells. After 48 hours or 2 days, two cells become four cells. After 3 days, four cells become a small compact of 16 to 32 cells. After 4 days, hollow balls of 64 to 128 cells. After 4 to 5 days, inner mass or the blastocyst still free in the uterus. 6 to 7 days, the blastocyst attaches to the wall of the uterus. In 11 days to 15 days, blastocyst invades into uterine wall, becomes planted in it, or the implantation. In germinal period, the differentiation of the cell already begins as inner and outer layers of the organism are formed. Blastocyst, the inner layer of the cell that develops during germinal period, develops later into the embryo. The trophoblast, the outer layer of the cells that develops to provide nutrition and support for embryo. This picture shows the progress of egg cells and the sperm cell when they unite to zygotes to embryo. The next stage of prenatal development is the embryonic period, 2 to 8 weeks after conception. In this stage, the name of the cell mass zygotes become embryo. The following developments takes place. First is the cell differentiation intensifies and life support system for embryo develops and organs appear. As the zygote get attached to the wall of the uterus, two layers bound are formed. The ectoderm outer layer develops into skin and nervous system. Endoderm, the inner layer, develops into digestive and respiratory system. Mesoderm, the middle layer, develops into muscles and skeletal systems. As you can see, the picture shows the development of embryo and fetus. This is the third stage of the prenatal development, which is the fetal period, the 9th week to 38 weeks of the pregnancy. Fetal period. A fetus is a prenatal human being between embryonic stage and birth. The fetal stage extended from the beginning of the 9th week after. Other developments that usually occur in the fetus during 9 weeks to 15 after fertilization includes the following. The first is the facial development continues. Fine colorless hair called lanugo start to grow on the fetus base. It eventually covered most of the body until it is shed close to the time of birth. Next is the thyroid glands mature and start producing thyroid hormones. The liver and the pancreas also start producing their secretion. The kidneys start functioning. The fetus is very active. Week 16 to 26 of pregnancy. Many important changes occur in this fetus during week 16 to 26 after fertilization. Some of the specific development that occurs during week 16 to 26 includes the following. First is the brain and the sensory nerves develop to the point that the fetus has a sense of touch. Next is the eyes and ears continue to develop. The fetus bones have already been developing, but they now start to ossify, beginning with the clavicles and the bones in the legs. Alveoli form in the lungs. Considerable muscle development occurs. The intestine develops sufficiently that small amount of sugar can be absorbed from the amniotic fluids that is swallowed. The fetus develops a thick waxy coating called during weeks 27 to 38 includes the following. The fetus head hair grows thicker and coarser while the lanugo is shed. In preparation for breathing after birth, the fetus will repeatedly mimic breathing by moving the diaphragm. The fetus can not only hear and feel touch, but its eyes can now detect light. During this phase, the fetus sleeps much of the time. By the end of 38 weeks, the fetus measure is about 51 centimeters. Birth is imminent and occurs around 40th week, and the fetus is considered full term between weeks 37 and 40, which means that the fetus is considered sufficiently developed for life outside the uterus. Now, the teratology and hazard to prenatal development. Teratology is the field that investigates the cause of congenital defects. Teratogen is any agent that causes a birth defects, from the Greek word tera, which means monster. The first hazard during pregnancy development is the perception and non-perception drugs. First is the antibiotics, diet pills, and aspirin, those high dosage. The next is psychoactive drugs. These are the drugs that act on the nervous system to alter state of consciousness, modify perception, and changes mood. Example of this is nicotine. The effect of this is preterm birth and low birth weights, fetal and neonatal deaths, respiratory problems, sudden infant death syndrome. The third one is environmental hazard, the radiation, toxic waste, prolonged exposure to saunas or bathtub. Next is maternal diseases like rubella or German measles, syphilis, genital herpes, AIDS, maternal malnutrition, open neural tube defect, Closed neural tube defects. Other parental factors: exposure to lead, radiation, certain pesticides and petrochemicals may cause abnormalities in the sperms that lead miscarriage and diseases such as childhood cancer. Older father, older fathers may place their offspring at risk of certain defects. That's the end of my report. Thank you.